Have you ever wondered what happens when you combine a $5 million salary, a fearless attitude, and a nose for controversy? The result is the wild world of Jesse Watters. In 2025, the cable news powerhouse sits firmly on a throne built from ratings gold. From a secret scandal that changed everything to a castle in New Jersey, we are about to uncover the truth behind the millions that define his life. If you turn on your television at 8 p.m. in 2025, there is a very strong chance you will see the same face staring back at you. It belongs to a man who knows exactly how to command attention. Jesse Watters has officially taken over the world of cable news. For years, viewers speculated about who could possibly replace giants like Bill O'Reilly and Tucker Carlson. Jesse didn't just step into their shoes, he bought a brand new pair and took off running. By 2025, his show Jesse Watters Primetime is not merely successful, it is a full-blown juggernaut. Night after night, it overwhelms the competition on CNN and MSNBC. At the same time, his other role on The Five has paid off in a massive way. That show has remained the #1 program in all of cable news for 4 consecutive years. When ratings reach those heights, executives respond by opening the checkbook. Reports suggest that Jesse earns an enormous salary of $5 million per year. That level of income is truly life-changing. Broken down, it equals roughly $96,000 deposited into his bank account every single week. While most people work an entire year to afford a nice car, Jesse could buy one every Friday without hesitation. However, his wealth does not come from salary alone. Jesse is also a sharp and strategic businessman. In 2025, his net worth is estimated to fall between $10 million and $16 million. This massive fortune is built through his television contracts, best-selling books, and extremely high speaking fees. He is a money-making machine, and he knows exactly how valuable he is. But before exploring how he spends all that money, it is important to understand how he earned it. Jesse did not begin at the top of the ladder. He started at the very bottom, literally in the basement. He grew up in Philadelphia, spending his childhood in neighborhoods such as Germantown and East Falls. He attended a respected school, William Penn Charter School, yet he was still just a regular kid. Later, he enrolled at Trinity College in Connecticut, where he graduated in 2001 with a degree in history. Contrary to popular belief, television stars are not always discovered randomly on the street. Jesse had to fight for his opportunity. In 2002, he landed a job at Fox News, but it was far from glamorous. He worked as a production assistant. That role meant fetching coffee, logging tapes, and working long hours in the building's basement. He earned about $10 an hour and had no health insurance. Jesse was assigned to the O'Reilly Factor, which was the biggest show on television at the time. And he was hungry for more. He had no intention of staying in the basement forever. Jesse began pitching story ideas directly to Bill O'Reilly. At first, O'Reilly dismissed him completely and even told him, "You're an idiot." Still, Jesse refused to give up. He continued pushing until O'Reilly finally agreed to let him hit the streets with a camera. That decision marked the birth of Watters' World. Jesse would visit college campuses and busy city streets, asking people simple questions. The answers were often shockingly wrong, and that made the segments hilarious. It was mean, it was funny, and it was pure television gold. Over time, Jesse became known not just for humor, but for confrontation. He was the guy who ambushed people. If a judge or politician refused to answer Fox News questions, O'Reilly had a simple solution. He would say, "Send Watters." Jesse would camp out in people's driveways and follow them down the street. One of his most famous ambushes involved a journalist named Amanda Turkle, who had written something critical of Bill O'Reilly. Jesse and a cameraman followed her for 2 hours as she drove to her vacation spot in Virginia. When she finally stepped out of her car, Jesse suddenly appeared with a microphone and began grilling her. The confrontation was aggressive and frightening for those he targeted, but the audience loved the drama. It proved that Jesse was willing to do anything to get the story. That fearless approach is what pushed him up the ladder. He went from being the guy hiding in the bushes to sitting in the anchor chair. But climbing that ladder came with serious risks. In 2016, Jesse faced a firestorm that nearly brought him down. He traveled to Chinatown in New York City to film a segment about political views, but instead of asking thoughtful questions, he made jokes that many people found deeply offensive. He asked people whether they knew karate and played music from kung fu fighting in the background. He even attempted to interview an elderly woman who didn't speak English, seemingly to make her silence look humorous. The backlash was immediate. Critics called the segment racist and accused it of relying on lazy stereotypes. The Asian American Journalists Association demanded an apology. Jesse released a statement claiming the segment was meant to be tongue-in-cheek, but the pressure didn't ease. For a brief moment, it looked like his rising star might crash. In the end, Jesse survived and learned that being a provocateur brings attention, but it also paints a target on your back. While his career continued to grow, Jesse's personal life was on the verge of exploding. For many years, he was married to a woman named Noelle Inguaggiato. They married in 2009 and had twin daughters together, living what appeared to be a perfect life on Long Island. But in 2017, rumors began to circulate. Jesse had met someone at work named Emma DiGiovanni, a 25-year-old associate producer on his show. She was beautiful, ambitious, and much younger than him. They began spending a great deal of time together and posted Instagram photos that seemed a little too friendly. Eventually, the truth came out. Jesse went to Fox News' Human Resources Department and confessed that he was having an affair with a subordinate. In the corporate world, this is a serious violation. To avoid potential lawsuits, the network quickly reassigned Emma to another show, The Ingram Angle. However, the damage to Jesse's marriage was already done. In 2018, Noelle filed for divorce, bringing a painful and messy end to a decade-long marriage. For Jesse, though, it marked the beginning of a new chapter. The story of how he won Emma's heart was especially shocking. Jesse shared it himself on live television, leaving his co-host stunned. He referred to it as his Deflategate move. Jesse explained that when he first tried to date Emma, she didn't seem interested. So he came up with a sneaky plan. He went to her car and let the air out of her tires. When Emma returned and discovered she couldn't drive home, she was stranded. At that moment, Jesse just happened to show up and offered her a ride. She climbed into his car, completely unaware that he had sabotaged her vehicle. Jesse laughed as he told the story, insisting it had a happy ending because they eventually got married. Many people, however, found it creepy. The story revealed a manipulative and determined side of Jesse, someone who sees what he wants and takes it, regardless of the rules. Once the divorce was finalized in 2019, Jesse and Emma moved quickly. They got engaged in August of that year, and just a few months later, in December 2019, they held a lavish wedding in Naples, Florida. The event was a celebrity affair, attended by major figures from the conservative world. Donald Trump Jr. was there, Kimberly Guilfoyle was there, and Eric and Laura Trump were also present. The guest list made it clear that Jesse had entered an elite inner circle. He was no longer just a reporter, he was now closely connected to the most powerful family in the Republican Party. Emma looked stunning in her white gown, and Jesse appeared triumphant. He had the new job, the new wife, and an entirely new life. Today, Jesse Waters is a father of 4, and his home is anything but quiet. From his first marriage, he has twin daughters, Sophia and Ellie, born in 2011. By 2025, they are teenagers, which anyone with teens knows can be a handful. Jesse often talks about them on the 5, sharing humorous stories about school dances, their phones, and how they roll their eyes at his dad jokes. With Emma, Jesse started a second family. In April 2021, they welcomed a son, whom Jesse proudly named after himself, Jesse Bailey Waters Jr. He affectionately calls him a little rascal. Then, in April 2023, they welcomed another child, a daughter named Georgina Postwaters. When Georgina was born, Jesse surprised some of his conservative fans by taking paternity leave. He stayed home for several weeks to change diapers and support Emma. He even admitted on air, "I did change more diapers than I'm giving myself credit for." Now, Jesse's weekends are filled with sports games, toddler tantrums, and baby bottles. His household is a chaotic blend of 2 different generations of children, but Jesse appears to thrive on the constant energy. Where does this big family live? They needed a house that fit their status. In 2023, Jesse dropped $2.8 million on a mansion in Bernardsville, New Jersey. This house is a beast. It is 10,296 square feet, and it sits on 5.6 acres of land on Bernardsville Mountain. This area is renowned as a haven for the ultra-wealthy. It is quiet, green, and very private. The house itself looks like a southern plantation that got lost in New Jersey. It has giant white columns and wraparound verandas that are 2 stories high. You can picture Jesse and Emma sipping iced tea on the porch while looking out over their estate. Let's take a tour inside. When you walk in, you are greeted by a grand foyer with marble floors and a sweeping curved staircase. It is designed to impress. The ceilings soar 12 feet high, making the rooms feel like a palace. The house has 8 wood-burning fireplaces. That is an insane number of fireplaces. There is one in the living room, the library, probably even the bedrooms. It screams luxury. The kitchen is the heart of the home, and Jesse's is massive. It has 2 islands, one for prepping food and one for serving. It has custom darkwood cabinets and French doors that open to the garden. And we cannot forget the library. Yes, he has a formal library. It has wood-paneled walls and a spiral staircase that goes up to a second level of books. It is the kind of room where you smoke a cigar and plot your next career move. Downstairs, there is a home theater for movie nights and a wine cellar for Jesse's expensive taste. Outside, there is a carriage house for guests. So, when Donald Trump Jr. comes to visit, he has his own house to sleep in. And of course, there is a pool with fountains to cool off in the summer. Before he was the lord of the manor in Bernardsville, Jesse was a beach bum. He owned a stunning vacation home in Beach Haven on Long Beach Island. It was a fixer-upper that he turned into a gem. It was right on the ocean. It had 4 bedrooms and open decks where you could watch the sunrise. He put a lot of money into it, adding a new kitchen and a luxury bathroom. But owning 2 mansions is a headache, even for a millionaire. In 2023, he sold the beach house for $1.65, $65 million. It was a sad goodbye, but it freed up cash to pour into his new forever home on the mountain. He traded the sand for the privacy of the forest. A man like Jesse Waters doesn't drive a Prius. He drives a tank. Jesse is the proud owner of a Ford F-150 Raptor. If you don't know cars, let me explain. The Raptor is a monster. It is huge, wide, and loud. It is built for jumping over sand dunes in the desert, but Jesse uses it to drive to the grocery store. It costs over $70,000 and guzzles gas like crazy. Jesse loves it. He talks about it on his show. He says, the men in the suburbs, a lot of them drive pickup trucks. If they don't drive a truck, they're a conservative. To him, the truck is a symbol. It says, I am a tough American man. He hates electric cars. He mocks them constantly. In a viral clip, he said the only electric car he would ever drive is a driverless car so he could take a nap. He wants to hear the engine roar. He wants to feel the power. Have you noticed how sharp Jesse looks on TV? His style is very specific. He wears perfectly tailored suits that fit him like a glove. He isn't buying off the rack. These are custom jobs. But his casual style is just as curated. There is actually a clothing brand called Greyers that named a pair of pants after him. They are chinos. It is the ultimate preppy dad look. He wears them with a crisp button-down shirt and maybe a blazer. He always looks put together whether he is on a stage or at a barbecue. And watch his wrist. Jesse is a watch guy. You can often spot him wearing luxury timepieces. While he doesn't flaunt them, eagle-eyed fans have spotted what look like Rolex and Omega watches on his wrist. These are watches that cost more than most people's cars. Jesse is in his late 40s in 2025, but he looks younger. How does he do it? He developed his own fitness routine called the 20 pounds method. He claims this method helped him drop 20 pounds and stay lean. It isn't about starving himself. It is about control. First, he cooks his own food. He says restaurant food is the enemy because it is loaded with hidden butter and salt. By cooking at home, he controls exactly what goes into his body. Second, he does high-intensity interval training. He works out for just 30 minutes a day. He doesn't spend hours lifting heavy weights. He does fast, intense bursts of exercise to burn fat. Third, he gave up fast food completely. No more drive-thrus. It sounds simple, but it takes discipline and it works. He looks fit and energetic every night on TV. Jesse has another source of income that we need to talk about, books. His first book, How I Saved the World, was a #1 bestseller. In 2024, he released a new book titled Get It Together, Troubling Tales from the Liberal Fringe. The book took readers on a deep exploration of some of the strangest corners of American culture. Jesse personally went out and interviewed a series of truly extreme and unconventional individuals. Among them was a professional cuddler, someone who earns money simply by hugging people. He also interviewed a trans woman who identifies as a wolf. Yes, a wolf. She howls and moves on all fours. Rather than simply mocking the people he met, Jesse attempted to understand the reasons behind their identities and behaviors. Through these conversations, he discovered that nearly all of them shared common threads, including unresolved daddy issues or deep personal trauma. Jesse transformed these shocking and unusual interviews into a book that went on to sell thousands of copies. He followed the success with an extensive book tour, signing copies for fans in places like New Jersey and Florida, where lines wrapped around entire blocks. By 2025, it had already become a wild year for Jesse. He continued pushing boundaries further than ever before. In one notable segment, he managed to spark a feud with the entire country of Canada. He joked that Canada should become the 51st state of America and claimed it would be a privilege for Canadians to be taken over by the United States. The reaction was immediate and intense. Canadians were furious and flooded his social media accounts with angry comments, while Jesse simply laughed it off. In another controversial moment, he made a bizarre statement about men who work desk jobs. He claimed, "When you sit behind a screen all day, it makes you a woman. That gives you estrogen." According to him, real men work outdoors. His co-host, Janine Pirro, immediately pushed back and said, "You sit behind a screen." The internet mocked him relentlessly for days. Once again, however, the backlash kept his name dominating the headlines. So what does Jesse Waters' lifestyle look like in 2025? It is defined by contradiction. He presents himself as a champion of the working class while living in a $2.8 million mansion with marble floors. He promotes traditional values despite having a scandal-filled backstory surrounding his marriage. He drives a Ford Raptor to project toughness, yet pairs it with tailored suits and expensive watches. Jesse has built an entire empire by becoming either the man you love to hate or the man you hate to love. He enjoys a beautiful wife, 4 children, a castle perched on a hill, and an income of roughly $5 million a year. He has risen from the basement levels of Fox News to the very top. Whether people love him or loathe him, Jesse Waters is winning. He is living the American dream, loudly, proudly, and with just enough controversy to keep everyone watching.